domain, the reason why it's in the public domain is because it's a toddler. It has to learn. And so by interacting with us, it's learning. It's learning our preferences. It's learning our fears, our hopes. It's learning to mimic our intelligence and our creativity. And so all of these jobs, like writing articles, for example, for a newspaper or for, a newspaper, that's old hat, writing articles on social media now, that's going to be totally taken over by AI. I mean, how can you compete? The AI will be able to write a perfect article, no spelling errors, perfect grammar, and much better articulated than any human being, and be able to do it in 10 seconds. So it's over. It's over. We've crossed the proverbial Rubicon. There's no turning back. AI is here to stay, and it is going to make human beings irrelevant. And so post-humanism is inevitable because it's going to drive the need for the human species to forcibly evolve. That's called directed evolution. Ultimately, we are going to evolve out of Adam by both necessity and desire to become like the gods, who are going to show up at some point. But this is where we are headed. This is not a conjecture, as you well know. This is current reality. Now, when I wrote these things in my book, none of this was around really in the public view yet.
No.
And that was just in 2020 I published the book. Since 2020, we now have Chat GPT. We now have AI image generating software. We now have robotics that are becoming perfected to the level where they're already able to surpass human capabilities in terms of our physical capabilities. And what I'm referencing here is the Boston Dynamics robots that are humanoid, that are already, doing parkour, that are already picking up guns and shooting perfect bullseyes at ranges. These robots have already surpassed. So I want you to understand, the robots have already surpassed the physical capabilities of the human species, and artificial intelligence has already surpassed the intellectual capability of the human species. What happens when you combine those two things together? What happens when you take AI and you stick it in the robot? I mean, you have at the very least, what you have is a template for technocratic tyranny, the likes of which we could not even imagine 10 years ago. And we will see technocratic tyranny. There's no question about it. If we don't we're already being told that humans are bad for the planet, that there's too many of us, that we're destroying the earth, climate change, and all of that. Well, add into the equation now, we're irrelevant. We're no longer needed. They don't need us, the elites, the technocrats. They don't need us to produce things anymore. In fact, they won't even need us to buy things anymore in the future, honestly. So if the consumer is no longer necessary, and if the human workforce is no longer necessary, then what good is the human species in the mind of the technocrat? The human species that's like a plague on planet Earth. What good are we? No, we're no good at all. In fact, we need to be eradicated. We need to be controlled. The population needs to be reduced to a very small, manageable population just to preserve the human species, while the technocrats govern the earth through technology. That's where we are. This is not a science fiction anymore. This is where we are, and it's only going to accelerate into the future. And in my book, I expound on why I believe these things are happening, what the end goal is, and it has to do with, in a nutshell, it has to do with humanity losing our birthright on earth. We will no longer have the authority to govern the earth that was given to us by God, because we will transition out of Adam and into a post-human condition, and therefore thereby forfeit our birthright, which is dominion of the earth. And it at its core, you talked about the occult. At its core, the machinations of the technocratic elite and the things that are unfolding on the earth, presently unfolding on the earth, are Luciferian.